Greetings, everyone, and it's an interesting Monday, huh? Soccer over there. It's Nick Alifi, the Gullet Red Warlord, joined, as always, by my far superior counterparts, the godfather of all things soccer in the South, Mr. Jason Longshore, and the mouth of the South himself, Mr. John Nelson. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Present.
He's just present. I'm done arguing about goalkeepers with Newcastle.
You got another hour, dude.
I don't think you guys are arguing on it, but you might be. I might have to argue some more.
No, I'm not arguing with it. Look, if you are just tuning in and you have been locked in an office all day, first of all, you have our sympathies. And second, you missed the intro for one Mr. Miguel Almiron, his debut with Newcastle. He was subbed on, which I think was the smart move. And I also think that, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, I saw no gap between Miguel and the rest of the team. If anything, his first touch was smoother and more efficient than by far the rest of his counterparts. And I also thought that he fit in seamlessly with the squad. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this talk is generally out there about, MLS is such an inferior level. There was no difference. Only things that I think you see out of it is a new player fitting into a team. It's not about skill. It's not about, tactics or understanding or physicality or any of that. Just, little things about being on the same page as your teammates. He's had a few training sessions with them. That's it. That's completely understandable. But skill level, he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to make this team a better team. And I honestly thought maybe they should have brought him in a little bit earlier than they did. Newcastle is not that great right now. They struggled to see this game out. They didn't really. I don't know if it's an overall skill level thing. I don't know if it's a tactical thing, which I wouldn't really necessarily think with Rafa Benitez. But there didn't seem to be much of a cohesive plan of closing this game out. And they struggled to keep possession at the end, which is what you can't do in that situation.
And from my perspective, I looked at it as right now, Newcastle just has to get points and try to drag themselves out of the relegation fight. And if that means that you're going to take a more defensive posture out of the blocks and try to counter and figure out where you can get a goal, then that was what I figured that we were going to see out of Newcastle. They had the 3 points until the bitter end, but nevertheless, the 1 point gets them out of the relegation zone. And when you look at it, you've got 3 points separating 13 through 18. So it's going to be fun for us to watch 6 teams trying not to be the one slot. But I looked at Miguel Almiron and I was like, he's backtracking like he always does. He's chasing after the ball. He's right there at the top of the box, getting back. He's integrating his way in. He was late, trying to make sure that Wolves couldn't get the ball late to get an offensive chance in the near corner. So it was, for me, I understood holding him back until 60 or 70 because they had a 1-0 advantage, and I figure you're going to try to do what you can to keep all 3 points. But I look at Dubravka as turning 3 points into 1 as opposed to anything else. But no, solid first shot out of the blocks for Miggy, Nick.
Punch the cross into the stands.
Thank you.
Brad Guzan would never.
Oh, there's Jarrett Smith.
There's Jarrett.
Oh, look at there.
Jarrett, there have been more people who have reached out to me saying Jarrett's going to be on the show, right? Jarrett, he's not going anywhere, is he? So we are thrilled that you are joining us, man.
It's only for a few minutes for now, and I'll try and be back later for the end of the show. But yeah, again, Brad Guzan would never.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Just know what you're doing. Just punch the ball away. I don't care if Randy Orton was behind him ready to drop the RKO. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Punch the ball away. Assert yourself. If you're a keeper, you have to get in and punch it away. Don't try to do anything else, because then what happens is what happened today, where now your team is this is what happens when you have a team in the relegation fight for everyone out there who has been supporting the Barcelonas and Real Madrids and the Chelseas of the world. We'll get to them in just a minute. But this is what life is like for the relegation contender, where every single point matters. And there's no other way around it. So Miggy has a fight.
It's kind of, and I hate to cross sports. I'm about to do it anyway. I don't care. I spent a long time as a catcher. It was the same thing I was always taught is that box is your box in the same way that when it was catching, like that plate is your plate. Like it's yours. Command it as such. Now don't go in there and do something stupid and, throw an elbow and pick up a card, but command the box. If you're not going to grab it, just punch the thing out of there, but be assertive in what you're doing. Don't go, don't half-ass the grab for, a ball like that, and that happens. Hit it into the 15th row and, fight the next battle. But command it. It's yours. Own it.
You have to know the situation there. There shouldn't have been a next battle. That's the thing, is you're already past the 4 minutes. You don't need to catch that for anything. Punch it away. Yeah, you're going to have a corner kick called against you, but you're probably going to get the final whistle blown. And there's somebody behind you, or if you don't, then you got to work on that awareness. You have to know that you have a player who is going to go up for it. If you're going to look for a foul there in that situation, you've already messed up. I watched it back a bunch of times, and I've seen all the still shots. The discussion's great about it, and I'm great with that. Can you imagine when you have VAR in the Premier League and you get this going to a VAR situation, and you still
VAR's
have the BBC on fire right now?
VAR is going to decide a pro-rel battle before it's said and done. It's going to be fantastic. Or, better yet, just as importantly, money-wise, a Champions League battle.
But it needs to.
Yeah,
because
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
and I don't think this is an interesting one. No, I'm with you. But I don't know what VAR decides here, and that's the thing that's so tricky about it. There's no call on the field. It's a goal. All right. I don't think there's enough in the video that you're going to see in that 3-4 minutes watching it back to say that, okay, there is a clear error here. There is a clear foul. I just don't think it's there. It's a tough one. It's definitely a judgment call. It's a very tough decision. I think you're seeing a lot of goalkeepers think that it was a foul, and a lot of attacking players think it was not a foul, which is
quoting Rafa from our friend Lee Ryder over at the Chronicle. Rafa on the Wolves goal, quote, "They were pushing. We could do better. Just punch the ball and finish," end quote.
They were pushing. Yep. I'll agree, because if you're going to call a foul there, I think the easiest call would have been the player who was pushed in front of the goalkeeper at the very beginning of the whole sequence. It looked like the Wolves player was trying to push him in towards the goalkeeper. Could have called that, blown the whistle, then the goalkeeper gets bailed out. But if you punch that away, you don't have any of these problems. When you go up to try to catch in that situation in traffic, you're inviting trouble.
Well, as we continue to say, for all the Miggy fans out there who are Newcastle till Miggy leaves, just know that this fight is just getting started. So in the relegation battle, these moments, these lapses will mean the difference between you staying in top flight and you dropping right down into the Thunderdome of the championship. And you want no part of that, I assure you. And especially Atlanta United.
Let's put a wrap on the bottom part of the table, because we got to talk about the top with everything going on in the Premier League. Yeah. The bottom part, Huddersfield, done by, see ya, 11 points.
Yeah.
Fulham in 19th on 17 points, pretty much by.
Yeah.
Probably not by. 18th, Southampton in the final relegation spot on 24. But here's where it gets really interesting. They're on 24. Cardiff and Newcastle are on 25. Cardiff has a minus 23 goal differential. Newcastle minus 12. Not too shabby. That's pretty decent spot for Newcastle at the moment. However, Burnley, Brighton, and Palace, all the way up to 13th, are on 27 points. Only 3 points ahead of Southampton. It's going to go down to the wire, and it feels like more teams are getting sucked into this vortex. than escaping it. You know, I mean, Leicester's 5 points up from Palace, Brighton, and Burnley. They should be okay. Should be. Bournemouth, West Ham, Everton all on 33, 1 point ahead of Leicester. That takes you all the way up to 9th. You're talking 9 points from 9th to 18th. That's a little crowded.
Crazy.
And if you're a Newcastle fan, you have Huddersfield coming up next. They're sitting dead last. So if you're going to, you got to take advantage of that, and hopefully we can see Miggy with all of his powers in full effect on that one. Let's go to the top of the table, if we can,
yes.
Which is quickly becoming the middle of the table if you are a Chelsea fan. And look, I've had Chelsea fans pinging me talking about, well, Nick, you know, it really sucks to be a Chelsea fan right now. Sorry, what are we going to do? Sorry's horrible. Sorry this, sorry that. Look, the man isn't changing. It's what got him from Serie D all the way up to Serie A. The guy was a former banker who just turned out to be, well, in Italy anyway, a coaching genius. This is what you signed up for. You asked for somebody to come in and bring offense, and it follows the Bielsa idea of there is no plan B, we just do plan A better. But that requires buy-in. And from what I saw in this last game, Chelsea doesn't seem to be buying in anymore. You know, when you're talking about allowing a goal in the 4th minute, then the 13th, then the 19th, then the 25th, then the 56th, then the 80th. It was a clinic by Man City. And Sarri's been figured out, and if he's not going to change and rotate, which he's not going to do, this free fall is not done, gentlemen.
There's a quote attributed to Sarri after the match, apparently told Marcos Alonso that you should find another job because you're useless at football.
Wow.
Don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's an interesting situation with Sarri. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, you know, was it what? Serie A Manager of the Year in 2016-17, second place in Serie A with Napoli. You know, this is not a nobody. This is not somebody, and of course now when there's a struggle, you're looking at, oh, well, he didn't play professionally and all the nonsense that comes up. They're in 6th in the Premier League. Is Chelsea on paper as good of a squad as Manchester City? No. It's not even close. I don't think they're in Liverpool's category either. Also, I don't think they're in Tottenham's category. So Chelsea in 6th is not that crazy, to be honest. So are you going to fire him now?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm not talking logically. I'm just saying, what are you going to do? That is their tradition. It is hair trigger, and
who are you going to get?
Saudi.
And this is always the question.
Yeah, no, that's the question Nick and I were trying to figure out.
Yeah, which is the thing is when we say that Sarri's going to get fired, we're not saying, oh, we want him gone. What we're saying is that Roman Abramovich tends to abandon logic and reason when his team falters to a certain point. Now, lately, he has not been quite as quick on the hair trigger, but at the same time, you're still talking about a guy that when you go back to Carlo Ancelotti's autobiography, when he sat down with Abramovich, he said, Carlo, darling, I want to win everything. I mean, the guy wants to win titles that haven't even been invented yet. And the last thing he's going to do is let someone sit there and wreck his investment like this. So I think he will pull the trigger, but yes, who does he bring in? Because a manager like Zidane will not come off from the beach to take this and try to pilot it to, Champions League safety. Who else is going to do it? No one else is, Lampard's not going to leave and come.
You might have hit on it.
Look, I don't think he's going to pick up and leave and leave his team right now in the middle of that fight and say, okay, yes, I'm leaving you guys. I'm going home to Chelsea and hope that they can, capture the magic that Man United is running with right now. But I just don't think that that's going to happen. And maybe at the end of the year, that's one thing, but Lampard needs to be his own man and not wreck his club's chances by just bailing.
I agree. But if the job is offered to him, do you think he turns it down?
I would think he would.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I would. It's hard for me to say that he wouldn't. I mean, that he wouldn't just say, he's the manager of Darby County right now. Yes, it's not a dream job, but they are the people who said, yes, Frank, we will take a shot on you. We will bring you in. We have faith in you. Is there some out clause like you see in college football where if school X comes along, yes, I will have to pay a significant out, but I can take a walk? Sure. There probably is. But there needs to be an opportunity here for Frank to lead Darby up if he can and get the most out of it, at least till the end of the season. And then at that point, sure, if you want to go to Chelsea, then go for it. But at this point, it seems like a no-win situation because if you're Chelsea, how many managers have we seen this with where it's manager after manager after manager after manager? Oh, the players aren't right. Oh, ownership's too quick. At some point, we need to figure out what the problem is, and I think we all know what the problem is with Chelsea. But
I think there might be a problem that we haven't talked about, and this I think leads to a bigger discussion. We talked about the three clubs that Chelsea is definitely not this season on paper with the talent they have and the way they play. They're not Manchester City, they're not Liverpool, they're not Tottenham. Those three clubs have, I think, an identity, and they have a plan of how they want to play, and that affects who they go sign, and that affects everything about the club. I think the best clubs around the world have that. Barcelona has that. Bayern has that. Dortmund's had that. They have a clear vision. Chelsea doesn't have that. How does Chelsea play before Sarri comes in? How do they play? What do you think of when you think of the way Chelsea plays? I have no clue.
No,
but even Mourinho is not a valid answer because you look at Mourinho in year 1, year 2, and you look at second era of Mourinho at Chelsea, it's completely different. I mean, Mourinho changed dramatically from the beginning of his career to the end. So that's not even valid because that's when the modern era of Chelsea started, was Jose Mourinho coming in. They have not had a clear philosophy at all.
No, they have not. No, it's the true idea of bought, not built.
You want to be a top club, you got to have that. That's where the game is now.
But let's look at this. Let's go ahead and say, okay, all right. So you had Jose Mourinho, 3 Premier League titles. So yeah, okay, great, wonderful. He did that. But then the quick triggers after that, you had Guus Hiddink come in for a few stints as a caretaker manager, got the FA Cup, Carlo Ancelotti, Premier League, FA Cup, Community Shield. Then he's gone. You have Roberto Di Matteo, who actually gets you what you wanted if you're Abramovich, when he led them to the Champions League title with a team that was held together with chewing gum and bubble wrap and popsicle sticks. He's out. Benitez comes in. Then you have Conte. At this point, though, you have it's something where Abramovich has to, and this is to your point, Jason, he has to take time to say, okay, we have a manager who's coming in. The manager will instill a philosophy. That is the philosophy I want to go forward. No matter who comes in, this is who we're going to run with. In Atlanta United, you had Tata Martino come in, fast, aggressive play. It's going to be, what did Darren say? We're going to have a lot more games. They're going to end up like 4-3 than, 1-0. That's fine. If that's what what you want to go with, the idea of your club. We see now with Frank de Boer, attack, possess the ball and attack. Great. Awesome. We see that. But if we're seeing this with MLS clubs, why can't this club get it together? Don't tell me, it's the Premier League. There's so much, pressure and there's so much money and blah, blah, blah. No. You're a Russian billionaire. You can get any player in the world you want. Your finances are so stupid right now that you're probably never going to see financial fair play trouble. You have 40 players on loan. You're telling me that you can't somehow – what's the issue here if you have 40 players on loan? You have no identity. You're telling me all those players, those 40 players, can fit a particular model that you're playing? No. They probably fit the ideology of the past 3 different managers. So
you're
what are you
signing
gonna do?
Guys that you hope might eventually fit something depending on who is picking the lineup, and that's just not
right.
how you win championships at this stage of where the game is, you have to have a philosophy. You have to be all in on it. Now, there's a bigger question, is Sarri is his philosophy going to beat Pep Guardiola or Klopp or Pochettino? That's to be debated. Well, maybe not. We haven't really had a chance to truly see it. I mean, this is a guy, and I think Matt Law at the Daily Telegraph has a great point. David Luiz out of contract in the summer. Pedro Villan, 1 year left. Eden Hazard, who knows, he's probably leaving, you think. You're going to have to make some big changes after this season on the roster. So, okay, he hasn't had a chance to build a squad for some time. Klopp didn't come in and win year one. Pep struggled year one at Manchester City. This is common. You have to build your squad. Now, is his philosophy the right one? That's another question. But if you go and change it, you better get somebody who you're going to back for a while and let them build their philosophy, because the only way the Chelsea style that has won in the past wins in today's Premier League, today's Champions League, is if the clubs that have a clear-cut philosophy have a down year. Because a club with a clear-cut philosophy and top talent and a top manager, they're going to win. Which philosophy is better? Okay, that's fine. But they're going to beat a club like Chelsea, which is thrown together, slapdash style, and you see what happens out of it. That's not going to win anymore. The game's passed that by.
Well, and let's also not forget the fact that if Chelsea gets a transfer ban put on them for their previous transfer practices,
then there's that.
What manager takes that job? So this becomes, there's far more to this than just, get the bum out, which is why John and I say, yes, he probably will be fired, but with absolutely no logic and thought process behind it. The reason why I don't think that Sarri long-term will be successful is that in Serie A, you have a few clubs that are consistently good. You have a bunch that can catch you on a bad day. You have a few that are just flat out horrible. You have one that is absolutely exceptional. So it gives you the ability to, if your squad is, if you're not doing a tremendous amount of squad rotation, there are games where you can take the gas off and you're A-okay. But at the same time, in the Premier League, you don't really have that. That from top to bottom, I would say, and I know that all my fellow Serie A people are going to start pelleting me with rotting fruit when I say this, but I just think that when you face the top clubs, and there's so many different competitions between the FA Cup, the Community Shield, so forth, you have the ability to get nuked in so many different ways. And I just don't think that Sarri's his inability to rotate the squad will benefit him here at this level. Do this in La Liga, great. Do it in Ligue 1, great. Serie A, obviously, great. I just don't think it's a good fit for the Premier League. I hope I am wrong. I want
shouldn't have hired him then.
Oh no, I agree. No, I agree.
And here's one more point, and then John, I want to hear your take. David Amoyle with a good stat here. Napoli and Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty much the same squad. I mean, is it a hugely different team than it was last year?
No, not really.
Ancelotti's got 8 less points, and they're out of Champions League, and they're out of the Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Sarri isn't a complete idiot, as some people tried to paint him to be.
No, he's not. And real quick before John jumps in, I just would like to say that Napoli squad that he fielded took a Juve squad that was one of the best clubs ever assembled in Serie A history and took them to the wire. Any other league, almost any other year, Napoli's winning it. But Juve was just an absurd level of consistent. I mean, the consistency level was just nuts. So, yeah, he's not an idiot. He knows what he's doing, but the lack of rotation will be problematic for him going forward.
You look at identities. We know that Chelsea can't touch the top 3 right now. Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think that just loosening the reins and letting everything flow, that's what you've seen. I think undefeated in their 11 competitions going back with OGS. Arsenal's in a time of transition. They're trying to figure out, Unai Emery is trying to bring in players that fits his idea of what Arsenal should be. So they're in a transitional year, trying to figure out who they are. Chelsea, I just see a bunch of expensive talent out there kind of doing things, and Sadi has told Jorginho to do a certain thing, and you've moved N'Golo Kante out of a position that a lot of folks were seeing him be an absolute menace and tremendous talent on the pitch. So for me, Chelsea is 6th, and I still maintain that it wouldn't surprise me if Sadi is let go. And do I have any ideas to who would take the gig? No, because as I said, I'm not looking at this logically. I'm just looking at this from the Roman Abramovich point of view of, I'm fed up, you're gone. And then you're still putting spackle on a wall that needs to be torn down if you're trying to rebuild the living room.
Well, we have a big update right now we have to hit first. Nick's favorite team in Argentina, Defensa y Justicia, just won on a 95th minute goal to stay 3 points behind the top Racing club. 39 points. Alexis Castro with a 95th minute winner over Argentinos Juniors.
That's right. I want everyone to stand and respect the brilliant yellow and gold, the gold and green of Defensa y Justicia, the greatest team in Argentina. I've been a lifelong fan the past 3 months, but it has been. I want everyone to get behind. They are a phenomenally defensive team with the ability to score. You should get behind them right now. Buy your jerseys. I will send out the link. You can everyone join me on the bandwagon. Do not fall prey to the marketing masses who say you should only support the top 2 in Argentina. When I say top 2, I mean the media darlings, right? Those clubs that I will not name for safety reasons. And you know who to support now. You know who to support. Thank you for that update, Jason. That's magnificent.
Very important news. The 5:00 start just went final. We had a long discussion on Twitter, myself and our friend Adam Mulligan, who is the master of the Spanish language and all of its permutations. And we're just about positive that Justicia is correct, and the reason why it's some very weird thing that we had to go through about 5 different language rules. It's not Justicia as you might think it is. It's because the I and the A form a diphthong, and that changes where the accent is, and it's all kinds of complicated stuff. We know more about how to pronounce it than we know where the name actually came from, which we still don't know, which nobody seems to know. But Defensa y Justicia. 2-1 over Argentinos Juniors.
I would like to say that I hope that I can. I'm going to start this process right now. I'm going to start scripting a movie it'll be 80s style, where a group of law enforcement people get together and decide to take on the bad boys of Argentina soccer.
You're just going to create a mythical
team. We'll create. Yeah. I'm going to create the history, and it's going to be
the Sid Finch of soccer.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, why not? We should have this. And what I'll do is I'll showcase it down there and see how it works. I think it can be done.
The Spinal Tap of soccer and down there.
Exactly. And these law enforcement guys fight the bad guys and then win the Copa Libertadores.
There you go.
I can support this. They did struggle in the midweek, though. They lost to Botafogo in the Sudamericana first round. Leg. They lost 1-0 at Botafogo, so they will get a chance to host on February 20th.
That's right. They're second in the table right now, 42 points. I'm still proud of my boys. They're handling the business.
Hey, the final match of the season, if things continue the way they are, the final match of the season is at Racing, April 7th. The top 2 could be facing off.
And no, it's not racing. It's Racing.
It's Racing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Okay.
Question to the floor
from
Nathan Pugh.
What up, Nathan?
What's up, Nathan?
Late to the show, would love a Serie A perspective of why, and then it's all caps for the remainder of the tweet. Ramsey is worth £325,000 a week with 38 exclamation points behind it.
Take it away, Nick.
That's a great question. To be honest with you, the economics of this deal make no sense to me. especially for a team like Juve. You know, I honestly don't know why they made this move. Juventus, they seem to manufacture these crises. When they struggle against someone or they get this tough draw, they end up saying, okay, well, we need to go sign somebody immediately. Oh my God. And there's conspiracy theories that are all over the place in Italy, that Juve gets special rules, that Juve gets help from the refs. They get all this stuff. So this is yet another one of those moves that will have everyone in Serie A land going nuts, because we don't understand. They're a team that said, okay, we signed Cristiano Ronaldo. We're done. Finished. We've tapped out our funds. And yet then they pull this off. But this one, Nathan, I have no clue, man. Seriously, this is a dumb move for me. I don't buy it. I think they're A-okay, but it's just a dumb move, and the economics make zero sense. I'm trying to find more ways to say that how it makes no sense, but I can't. I'm just that befuddled by it.
Is this like 1998 Puff Daddy buying out the bar just because he can? Like, no valid reason, not trying to impress anybody there, just buying out the bar and buying drinks for everybody in it just to say, I'm Puff Daddy and I can do this?
Yeah, I think so. They don't have, they're going to have to end up paying. I don't think they're paying a transfer fee on this.
Yeah, no transfer
free.
So, but there's always cost associated with a transfer. Even on a free, you still have, agents get paid. Someone's getting paid. Money's going somewhere. But there's, if you're talking about someone who's going to get in and do box to box work, do you really think Ramsey's the guy who's going to do that for you? And do you think that,
weeks.
do you really think that I believe that this is something where they're going to use him to handle the Serie A work while they try to continue in Champions League. I just think that they are so committed to Champions League play that they need to be able to handle the Serie A work, and they are not a team that says, okay, we can drop a couple of Serie A games here and there. They really want to go win as much as they can by as large of a margin as they can, so that way they can hold up their banners and say, look how great and wonderful we are. But this move from a wage perspective alone makes zero sense to me. So Nathan, that's a good question, but I can't justify it. I can't spin it. It's just a bad move in my mind. And, I don't know what you're trying to make up for, but I wish them the best of luck.
All right, guys. The round of 16 starts in the UEFA Champions League tomorrow.
Yep.
2 games tomorrow, 2 games Wednesday. Then the other series are next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Champion.
Let's start with the ones tomorrow. Roma and Porto. Any thoughts on Roma and Porto? Where's Roma coming into this one?
Well, Roma's in an interesting spot right now because from a domestic standpoint, they're trying to get their mojo back. It's a team that we just can't seem to figure out. Eusebio De Francesco doesn't seem to have tactics. One day he has the tactics in line, the next day he doesn't. One day he has his roster picked, the next day he doesn't. But El Shaarawy seems to be rediscovering his form, which is helpful. Schick's out doing his thing, but at the same time, Roma seems to be doing better in Champions League than they seem to be doing in Serie A. So I'm still going to take Roma over Porto.
Yeah, Porto's not coming in the greatest situation at the moment. They're 1 point clear at the top of the Portuguese league. 1 point clear of Benfica, 2 points clear of Braga. But back-to-back draws coming in. Roma should have enough to get through that, I would think.
They should, but they're a team that is a little schizophrenic. They have the ability to, make some things happen, but it's you never know what you're going to get. Eusebio De Francesco is a guy who's been on the hot seat all season. Keep in mind, in the Coppa Italia, they got utterly demolished by Fiorentina 7-1, and if you watch that game, you saw that Roma had nothing. It was absolutely mind-boggling how out of sorts they were in that game. Fiorentina could score at will. And then they went and they got a tough draw against Milan. And really, Milan should have ended up with a penalty in that game, which, as much as I tout Italian VAR, they really botched that one. But other than that, I mean, you got a 3-3 draw to Atalanta, which seems to be scoring at will. That's impressive. A 3-2 win over Torino. That's good. But, you just don't know what you're going to get from them. So we'll see. Because, like I said, you had the 4-0 win versus Virtus Entella, a game they obviously should have won. Great. But then when you drop, let Fiorentina drop 7 against you, you're telling me you don't know what's going on.
Edin Dzeko was classy in that one.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so there'll be some people watching that one in Portugal and in Italy and maybe some people in New England and a few people at the Fenway Sports Group offices, but everybody else in the world is going to be watching the game from Old Trafford. Manchester United hosting PSG. John, Manchester United just keeps on doing the thing right now.
Yep. Right now, for those of you interested in these particular numbers, Manchester United to win is at plus 130. PSG is plus 225. Your double chance draw or Manchester United is at minus 286. Draw or PSG is minus 163 to qualify. PSG's at minus 150. Man United is at plus 110. We offer those just for information's sake. Be responsible. But
why does Ole Gunnar not have the job yet on a permanent basis?
For real, exactly.
But guys,
because they want Pochettino.
Well, no. I think there are still people within the org who do want Pochettino, but at the same time they are afraid that the balloon is going to bust.
Stop being afraid. Get a dog if you're afraid.
Well, look, everybody says that, but keep in mind the Glazers who do own the team watched John Gruden win the Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's guys, and then when they gave him that long-term contract, after they gave up so much for him, he ended up fizzling out to nothingness. So it is an ownership group that has seen a situation play out before, where a team came in, or rather a manager came in, got them over the hump that they've been trying to get through for so long, and then it just all fell apart on them. So I think that's why they're a little skeptical on pulling the trigger. But yes, you guys have converted me. I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be the manager for sure, but understand there's probably a little more context as to why they're not pulling the trigger.
I completely disagree with your context. It's time for Manchester United to be Manchester United again, and not.
These are the owners of the Buccaneers. That's all I have to say about it.
Well, there's that, but this is what you needed feeling-wise for this club from when Sir Alex retired. I mean, it didn't happen with Moyes. It just kept going south, and then you let Mourinho just completely torch the place. And you needed this feeling around the club again. They feel like a big club again, finally. And they're acting like it. Now, okay, it's Champions League time, and it's PSG, who is not at their best because of the Neymar injury. That factors in. You need to see them off. You need to.
Oh, boys, it's not just Neymar. It's also Cavani. Cavani's going to be out too. So
absolutely, this should be a comfortable setup for Manchester United. And if there's a banana peel here, then I'm with you, Nick. Then I think you're going to have those board members who are sitting in the background right now waiting to see what's going to happen, then jump up out of their seats and say, see, this is why we need to go get somebody bigger. The problem is they've been consistently going to try to get somebody bigger, and it hasn't worked. I think you really do need somebody who understands the club. But this series with PSG is going to be massive for Ole's future at Manchester United.
Yeah, and with a guy like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, what he's done is he's let them feel the game all over again. You've seen what Pogba's been able to do the last couple of months. You've seen what Marcus Rashford has been doing, and now he has his new contract. And you're bringing in Lukaku late in some matches to come and run at people for 20 or 30 minutes, and that's almost unfair. And Anthony Martial has admitted, he says it's easier to play now under OGS than it was under previous administrations, and it shows out there. And I think that this is that opportunity for Manchester United to hop on a wounded PSG side and get something done. And I want to see how Manchester United acts on this kind of a stage, knowing that you can take out PSG because they don't have Cavani or Neymar.
The games Wednesday are really interesting in different ways. Let's talk about I think the Tottenham Dortmund game will probably have a little bit more to say. So let's start with the other one. Ajax hosting Real Madrid in the first leg. We've talked a good bit about Ajax here lately with Frank de Boer coming to Atlanta. We know who they are and what they do. We know it's always a new cast of characters at Ajax, a new generation coming through at all times. That's what they're built on. That's what they will always be. Real Madrid, normally you would think, oh, this is an easy situation for Real Madrid. The Galacticos are going to see this
fast,
out, no problem.
my friend.
But then there's that. Can Ajax pull the upset here?
Can they? Yes, they can.
Will they? Not so much.
I just think that Real Madrid seems to be finding some form, which is, you can't really. A team like that, you can't let them find their form. When a team like Real Madrid is down, you need everybody coming from the woodworks to join in the fight to help keep the monster down. Because if they get any confidence, they can start steamrolling. Will that help them in La Liga? Yeah, maybe. But they're sitting second right now. But I don't know if Ajax has the ability to take them out over two legs. I just don't. I just don't think they have that in them. But it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, they have to start out big in the first leg at home. They have to take advantage of that, and it's not looking good for Frankie de Jong, the young superstar who had to leave the match on the weekend against Heracles with a thigh injury. He's questionable for Wednesday. If you don't have him and you're coming in off of a loss where you were probably looking ahead a little bit, you have to get I don't want to say a 2-goal win at home in this one to have a chance going back to Madrid, but you have to win this. You have to win it and look good in doing it, I think, to build some of that confidence. And it's a big ask. It could happen, but it's a big ask. Go ahead.
Well, look, Ajax their record seems to be win, loss, win, loss. So if you're going by that, maybe you got a chance. You should be up for a win on this one. Take what you can get.
All right.
Sometimes it may be good.
Yeah, sometimes something else. Tottenham hosting Dortmund at Wembley. This could be a really fun one.
John, you want to cover Spurs first?
Sure. I think that for me, them putting Leicester away late, I think that Heung-min Son has just been amazing in this run without Harry Kane. And I think that the world is finally getting to see the talent that a lot of folks knew was there, but really wasn't out there in front when it came to having the spotlight there. But there are still, for me, there are still some hiccups when you're looking at Tottenham, and, you got to hit it right. And I'm like, I've still got to go with Dortmund here in this. But I think that if you can pin Son down, that there are some weaknesses at the back that can be exploited for Tottenham from a Dortmund perspective. Sure.
Are you still backing Dortmund, even though the news is out now that Marco Reus is out of the first leg?
Yeah, I am. I've got to go with Dortmund right now. I don't think that I think that you'll probably end up with a staring contest in this one, in what's going to happen midweek, and I think that Dortmund does business in the second leg.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dortmund. I think the match at Wembley is going to be very tough. I'll say that game ends in a draw, but I think that when they go back to Dortmund, it's going to be all Dortmund all day. They are a monster and a half, and when you look at it from the perspective that, that they can lose somebody like Royce and still be competitive, that tells me everything I need to know. And when you're talking about they're sitting at the top of the table right now with 50 points. They're obviously handling business in the Bundesliga, but say what you want. I just don't know if Spurs are deep enough to be able to contend with the speed and the power of Dortmund over two legs. I just don't think they have it in them.
So Dortmund 5 points clear in the Bundesliga through 21 matches. Are they finally going to knock Bayern Munich off the top at the end of the year?
No.
No? You think Bayern's going to come back and knock them out?
Look, no. There are some clubs that, I think there are some clubs that just have an ability, call it whatever you want. In Atlanta, we say the word curse, but we used to say the word curse, but I just think there are some clubs that seem to find a way to just wreck it. And, when we look at Liverpool, for example, everyone said, oh my God, are they going to do it? Are they going to win? Are they going to win? And then the slip up happens. I just think that there's some clubs that have that mentality that I don't care where we are in the table. I don't care what we're doing. We're going to win. And Bayern's one of those clubs. And I'm not saying I'm a Bayern fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think that Dortmund can do it. But I'm still going to think that Bayern could pull it off. I mean, look. If we go to the Bundesliga, they drew against Hoffenheim, right? And I'm talking regular league play. They drew against Eintracht. Sure, you beat Hanover, but after that, the wins are there, but two draws right there that are hurting you from a league perspective. That you should have won those games.
So you're telling me that Liverpool and Dortmund could do the same thing, essentially, be on top, and then
yeah, yep. And I think that there are some teams that have that gene, they have that mentality, whatever you want to call it, the it factor, that they just get it done. And the Patriots have it, Juventus has it domestically. City has been having it. I think it's a little harder to get in the Prem, but there are some teams that have that issue where they just can't be clutch, and it's a mentality issue. I think Dortmund can do it, but I think it's likely they pull a Liverpool and slip.
Manchester City gets to go to Newport County on the weekend in the FA Cup 5th round.
But have you seen that pitch?
No.
At Newport? Oh, goodness gracious.
Well, you're not going to play anybody that you're worried about in that one at all.
No, just the sound bites coming from Pep Guardiola after beating Chelsea and getting ready for Newport. We've seen the pitch, we've seen the past competitions, we've seen what Newport has been able to do. But I think that getting to rest guys for anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. I think that this is it for the Exiles. I think that they're going to get thumped. And then on Wednesday, the 20th, Schalke and Man City in the back end of Champions League.
Should be Manchester City pretty comfortably. I think
Correct.
Phil Foden leads them to glory at Newport County and whoever else they can find to come up and play from the U23s. What happened to Liverpool in the FA Cup? I'm completely forgetting. Because they're not playing this weekend.
That's out of my realm. England.
Yeah, they lost something. Yeah. They lost somewhere along the way.
They lost to Wolves back on January 7th in the third round.
That's it. They got drawn with Wolves. So they had a tough draw. Anyway, okay. We'll talk about the other Champions League games next week as we get to next week. You got Barca going to Lyon. You got Bayern going to Liverpool, which will be lots of fun. You've got Juve going to Atletico Madrid, which will be
that'd be a lot of fun.
And you have Manchester City going to Schalke, which is tricky. That's tricky. You get that in the first leg. You have to go to Schalke, but should be okay there. As we bounce around a little bit, Liga MX continues on. They just completed match day 6 of the current season, and Monterrey, who Atlanta United fans are keeping an eye on, continues to stay unbeaten. Monterrey and Necaxa are the only two teams that remain unbeaten at this stage. Monterrey, 4 wins, 2 draws, only allowed 6 goals in 6 matches on 14 points. They top the table, and they are preparing for CONCACAF Champions League against Alianza from El Salvador. That should be a pretty easy series for them. The reason Atlanta United fans are looking at it is Atlanta United, Herediano, the winner faces off with the winner of Monterrey and Alianza, and you would expect it to be Los Rayados. That's going to be a blast if it's Atlanta and Monterrey. And
ooh, brother.
You think you've seen some intensity in postseason, and you have with the Red Bulls. Atlanta, Monterrey, and CONCACAF will be another level of intensity. And hopefully it comes to fruition. Hopefully both teams get through and it comes to it. I had a chance to watch Herediano last night. They faced Guadalupe FC in a Costa Rican League match. Cool little tiny stadium that was smaller than Silverbacks Park.
Allegedly 5,500 capacity.
No,
where did you
Guadalupe
watch this?
Stadium allegedly 5,500. Who said that?
That bastion of journalistic integrity known as Wikipedia.
I don't know where 5,500 people would be, but I don't think they've drawn more than 1,000 people all season.
Jason, where did you watch this game, and let the masses know where they too can find the goodness of Costa Rican football?
So I had to search and find some stuff.
Okay.
And
Okay.
No. I actually did find a legal stream. It took me a minute, though. I had an illegal stream for a little while. Do a Google, and I couldn't find it on Google. Do a Twitter search when a match comes up that you're looking for. See what comes up, and it was not the normal Costa Rican channel that I think carries most of their games, Teletica. It was a different one that had it, and their website just has a normal stream of their matches. And it was kind of crazy with their match day production that we were talking about as we were watching it. They like to play popular songs when they come in and out of breaks and just keep it playing in the background while the analysts talk. It was pretty cool.
There we go.
Yeah, they went with Sweet Child of Mine and Ramblin' Man by CCR, just playing in the background as the analysts are breaking things down.
And aggressive sideline reporters, too.
Oh, yeah. You know how you always see the halftime sub, like, standing at the midfield stripe, waiting to come in, waiting to get checked in. They always make a big show of the halftime sub coming out, like, after the ref's about to blow the whistle. So the guy's standing there waiting to come in, and the sideline reporter comes sprinting over into the shot to ask him a couple questions before he runs on the field. Excellent.
I see no problem here.
You would.
It's a life goal, sir. I think I wouldn't run over and start asking Kevin Kratz questions doing the slowest 40-yard sprint you've ever seen.
Yeah, I think this guy had you beat for speed, Jarrett.
Yeah, but you might move like an ostrich. I move kind of like a three-toed sloth.
But you know what, though? When it comes time for talking about that raise, when it comes time to say, hey, look, what did you do for our company in the past year? You bring up that highlight clip of you rushing that guy and say, look, I got that interview right there. That's what I did.
That's true.
Journalism at all costs, baby.
That's true. Herediano has a couple more matches in league play before Champions League. They play on Wednesday and they play on Sunday as they get ready for the Champions League match. They're struggling. It's been a very rough season for Herediano. This is, what happens with clubs of this size. You have a great season, and then bigger clubs come calling, and they come calling to take your top players. And Herediano's lost, I believe, 3 of them. One more is potential. It hasn't. I don't think it's gone final yet. Yendrick Ruiz. He was not in the lineup last night. But currently, Herediano is sitting in 9th place through 7 matches. They've played 7 matches. Kind of uneven table in Costa Rica at this point. But 8 points out of 7 matches for the defending champs, and they've only scored 7 goals. They've only conceded 8, good defensively, but they've only scored 7. That's going to be the issue for them against Atlanta United. They're going to have to get some goals, and Jose Guillermo Ortiz, forward who spent some time with DC United, scored 1 goal and in, I think, 16 appearances with DC in the first half of 2017. He's your leading goal scorer right now, and he just doesn't look up to it against top competition.
Don't bury the lead about his highlights, sir.
Oh, yeah, and if you don't remember that name, and you might not because he only played 16 times. His loan was canceled mid-season. He went back to Herediano. Go back and watch a clip against Vancouver where he earned a penalty, and it's maybe the worst call in Major League Soccer history. It is an unbelievable dive that he takes. I don't even know if the dive was in the box. It was right on the edge. But there was no contact, so you can't go back and look to see if the contact actually had him in the box or not, because there was zero contact. This was pre-VAR, and this was his second such dive. And how many times in MLS history have we seen a dive result in a game suspension? This one did.
It looked like the epitome of he got shot by a sniper. That's what it looked like. He runs by the guy, and he just drops with no one around him. If you told me, yeah, he literally got shot, I'd be like, yeah, that reaction lets me believe that.
Well, you're talking to the guy here who dove in a media game, so I see no problems with this. I think I say okay. Good for him.
So, Nick, you're going to have to get everybody ready for the CONCACAF-iness of this upcoming series, because so far in my early research on Herediano, you're talking about a team that leads the league, and they've only played 7 games, leads the league in yellow cards. They are also a club. Ortiz is not the only one who is fond of the embellishment. It's going to be something in that first leg in Costa Rica, I can tell you that.
Acting genius. Thank you.
Imagine if it's a wet game as well, like if it's been raining and the field's in bad shape.
Oh, we do have news. No, we have news out of Herediano. We have breaking news, folks, from Herediano. As we were just saying, the striker Yendrik Ruiz is now a new player of Oriente in Bolivia. So that's another of their top players who is gone.
Wow.
That news had broken yesterday in the media there, and they just announced it officially with the graphic. Gracias, Yendrik Ruiz, and he is gone. That's another one.
Well, if you there are people who have reached out and said that they may be open to traveling to Costa Rica. I know it's getting deadline tight, but Jillian Gaffigan on Twitter, if you want to go find her, has set up a group of people who are going to Costa Rica. She's figured out where the hotel is going to be and all that. And so if you want to figure out how to get to Costa Rica, talk to Jillian Gaffigan, and she will be the one who will help guide you to Costa Rica, should you have flexible travel plans and a functioning passport.
There you go.
I'm not going, but good luck to you.
Nah, y'all have fun.
If we can get a signal out of Costa Rica, we will be there, and it's looking good. Not done, but it's looking good.
Well, part of soccer down here will be in Costa Rica.
Yes, there's at least one person on the show right now that will be in Costa Rica.
There we go. See, that's what we bring to you right there. We have our crack team of championship experts and other so forth questionable individuals, myself, who
Team es un crack.
That's right, who will come through for you and bring you the top flight soccer coverage that you request and require. So,
and then Herediano has to come to America, and what better place to let them lay up for a couple days than Kennesaw, Georgia?
True.
Oh man!
Not even Atlanta.
No.
Kennesaw. Welcome to Kennesaw. We had a train stolen.
Yeah.
But you know what though? You know what? Take the Herediano team, take them over to the Five Guys over there in that shopping center behind the stadium, or to Cracker Barrel.
Yes.
No, Cracker Barrel. There you go. Good call.
Oh no! I'm taking them to Cookout before the game and getting each of them a tray. I want to see how they play 90 minutes on a stomach full of Cookout.
All the Cookout rounds.
There we go. So you let them know that it's on soccer over there, and we'll make that happen. I'll write a check. Can't guarantee the funds will back it, but I'll write a check to help cover that. But But I just think that be ready for the CONCACAFiness. If you're not familiar with CONCACAFiness, that means whatever can go wrong will go wrong. If it's
I
2
think we're
minutes
going to have to
time,
have a breakdown on CONCACAFiness next week as
Yes.
we get ready for this.
Yeah. So time, it's a sort of like a sci-fi movie where time means nothing, right? 2 minutes means an hour means about 45 seconds. You never know. Okay, so just prepare yourselves accordingly.
Oh,
But
I wonder if we have referee assignments yet.
Oh,
yes. So next week we will
I will find it.
Yeah, we will find referee assignments for this game. We will get more into Champions League as we are now back into the wonderfulness of Champions League play. And anything else that you all want to talk about, we can bring up. Just hit us up at SOC over there, SOC over there. Myself at Nick Leafy. Gentlemen, proclaim your Twitter handles and where they can find you and what you're doing.
Long Shoe. You can find me at Long Shoe, and you can yell at me about goalkeepers not punching the ball away.
at OSG Nelson as always, and you can yell at me for goalkeepers not punching the ball away.
Jarrett_Smith, and this is a Timothy Way appreciation account. Also, Scott Brown scored a goal from like 35 yards, so it's got kind of appreciation account as well.
How is old Celtic doing these days?
They haven't given up a goal since the beginning of the year.
That's pretty good.
They brought in a couple loans to fill out the striker role. All of a sudden, people can score goals again. And Scott Brown did not go to either Australia or the United States. Then he celebrated by scoring like a Will Trapp version goal in Scottish Cup last weekend, like what Will Trapp did to Orlando. Yeah, he did that. He hadn't scored a goal in like 3 years.
Well, good for them. That's what I'm talking about.
Tim Weah is having his way with Scotland right now.
Well, see, that's what we need. We talk about sending American talent overseas to showcase our ability, and it's happening. So let's see more of it. Keep it up. But we will talk about all of this and so much more next week. I would love to stay and keep talking with you guys through stoppage time, but man, I got dinner to make. I got the Dr. Wifey is in there waiting for me patiently to get dinner ready, and the Duchess of Dunwoody herself, the Princess of Garlic Bread, is also waiting on dinner, which means I gotta bounce. So
okay, I'm going to end it with this then, Nick, because this is one we need to leave it on. Let this marinate with everybody. Okay. From Miguel Delaney at the Independent, we talked a lot about Sarri and Chelsea. This is from Miguel Delaney in the Independent. Said some players have privately started to complain that everything is, quote, too tactical, and that there is now an overload of instructions that they can't keep up with. Others wonder whether this squad is actually tactically intelligent enough to really learn this.
Just go hire Brendan Rodgers.
And we're going to leave it at that.
There we go. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time. Mucha Euro and mucha tactics, y'all.
A lot of tactics.
All the tactics.